Hey guys, what's going on? Mikey from the MNF podcast, and I just thought I'd do a small video to get you guys caught up since we haven't done anything for a few weeks. Don't worry, we're still here. I know you guys missed us. So I'm gonna start off by saying Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. What is it? I think it's 2 or 3 days until New Year's at the time of me recording this video. But anyways, with all that out of the way, I just like to give some news about some exciting, hopefully upcoming stuff that content that we're going to be having for our podcast. So, in our hometown of Dundee, Michigan, there is a cigar lounge, Port Royal, that also has a few other locations around Michigan and Ohio. And we've been getting to know the workers as well as the owner of this chain, and they are going to be offering us some promotional items to show off some support for Port Royal, their company. My bad, brain fart. And it's going to be our centerpiece back here. We're going to have to replace our caricature as well as our leave a sign, but we'll make do. We'll find some space about where to put that stuff. With that said, hopefully they will also be guest starring on our podcast eventually so that you can learn a little bit more about Port Royal as well as how they started. Maybe they can, because they are much older than us, they have a lot more experience when it comes to cigars and cigar related things. So hopefully they can also share some information for newbies, beginners, what you should do, what you should look for in cigar, what you might not. So yeah, that's very exciting. So we're going to have hopefully some really exciting content coming up to help boost our podcast as well as help them out because, they've been so nice to us, so it's nice to reciprocate. And I'm going to be doing a short cigar review of the Diamond Crown Julius Caesar cigar. So I just had this cigar about an hour, maybe an hour and a half ago, and it's very interesting. It's retail around $17, $18 for this stick. It is a Nicaraguan with a Nicaraguan blend, I believe. And it is my first time having this cigar. So I was going to have this last week, but I decided to have the Afuente that they have there. I think it's the 2021 Afuente. I honestly couldn't tell you. It's been a week. I can't remember it. The band is around here somewhere. But I was going to have this last week. Instead, I had the Fuente. So I decided to have this today, and sadly, I'm not too sure if I'm going to have this cigar again. So I looked before Wyatt and I usually, or Fergie, my bad, besides when Fergie and I usually have our cigars, we like to look up some stuff from Cigar Aficionado as well as some other sources about what kind of notes, what tastes they got, what kind of blend is in the cigar, and what other people got on their palate. And for the Julius Caesar on, I believe, Cigar Aficionado, they had claimed that there was some cinnamon, some baker spice, heavy on the cedar as well as black pepper, and something called like cedar cream, if I remember correctly. I don't even know what that is. So let's get into this. I'm going to break it up into thirds as a normal cigar is usually created. There's the first, the second, the third. Each usually has different flavors, sometimes the same flavor throughout all three. Now, my expectations having this cigar going into it, it's a $17 cigar. It's about middle of the way. So I wasn't expecting anything grandiose. It's not like I was going to have a $42 Davidoff Master Selection, right? I wasn't expecting great things, but I expected it to be a good cigar because usually around the $17 to $20 range, most cigars around that range are good unless you just don't like that particular style or series of cigar. The first third was fairly strong on the cedar. It was strong on the cedar throughout most of the cigar. And the problem with the cigar is I believe the strong cedar taste kind of overpowered everything else. There was a lingering black pepper right at the first third, which I kind of liked because I do not like it when cigars have an overpowering black pepper. The reason I say that is because a lot of times some cigars will have an overpowering black pepper taste that will be so spicy on your tongue that it kind of overpowers all the other tastes and spices in the cigar. I am not a huge fan of that. I don't like spicy cigars. I like them to have just a little bit of tang. It had a little bit of a tang at the first third, but the cedar was overpowering. Now when we get into the second third, that black pepper was gone for the most part. It kind of teetered its way out, and it was just all cedar. I didn't taste anything else. I didn't taste baker's spice. I didn't taste cinnamon. It had a little bit of an earthy taste, kind of a woody taste, earthy. But outside of that, I mean, that kind of goes with the cedar. It was just cedar. I didn't expect much out of the cigar. I didn't get much out of the cigar. I don't know if I'd get it again. Another issue I found with the cigar, which could be user, that's just me, it could be user, but the burn was not even throughout. Even when I doctored it up and I fixed the even burn about 2/3 of the way through, 15 minutes later after I fixed it and it was perfectly burning again, it went uneven again. And I wasn't setting it down for any long period of time. I wasn't letting it go out myself. It was just going out on its own, which I find extremely frustrating in a cigar. This is just me being picky, I guess, but I like a cigar to also be very aesthetic. I like a nice even burn. I don't want a spear tip. I don't want it to be half burning, half not. It screws with the flavor, the aesthetic, etc. And I just found myself constantly battling with the cigar, trying to relight it and have an even light throughout the entire cigar, which really got on my nerves. Now, the second third wasn't bad. It's what you'd expect with a Nicaraguan. It was kind of mild, not too strong. Mostly cedar. The black pepper kind of tapered out. I didn't taste any other spices in it. And I've only had about 30 or 40 cigars so far in my experience with cigars in whole. So maybe it can be chalked up to my palate just isn't refined, but I didn't get those whatsoever. And the last third of the cigar was just, it was pretty bad. The cedar was starting to taper out. The cigar was having a problem with overheating, even though I was not taking like one puff every 10 seconds. I was actually letting it sit. It started to get more bland. And finally, actually, about like the last inch of the cigar, it finally started to self-correct and have an even burn, which by then, the taste for it was just not there, and I put down the cigar. Do I recommend this Julius Caesar? I don't know. I'll put the link in the description to a website, probably JR Cigar, which does carry, they should carry Julius Caesars. Was it worth $17 to me? Not really. Again, I will try it one more time eventually, maybe even on the podcast so that you can get my reaction in person. But it's just, it wasn't for me. I don't think I'm going to have it again. I might do it one more time. I like to have cigars at least twice because you can always get a bad batch. But if it's bad consecutive 2-3 times in a row, it's a pretty good guess that either it's just not for my palate or it's a bad cigar. That being said, this has kind of been my short review of the Julius Caesar. Was it worth $17? Maybe. Definitely not worth anything higher, I don't think. I will try it again to see, but it was such an overpowering cedar taste that while it tasted good, there was no real uniqueness to the blend. There was no real, I guess, difference in spices that I could taste throughout it. And hopefully that can be just chalked up to user error. I may have had a bad light, but I really don't think so. I've gotten to the point where I can usually light my cigars pretty well consistently. But that's the short cigar review of the Julius Caesar. And like I said, we've got some exciting stuff and content hopefully coming up soon for the podcast. Make sure you guys also follow our Discord channel, which we're steadily building. I'll also be streaming on Twitch tonight, so make sure you guys follow the Twitch. All those links are in our YouTube channel. And is there anything else I'm leaving out? The Discord, the Twitch, the Instagram. Make sure you follow the Instagram. We've been posting on there daily about just stuff that Fergie and I are doing in our daily lives, as well as cigar news. And we've also been posting more and more reels. And make sure you guys follow and subscribe the YouTube, as well as activate the bell notification so you guys can be notified for all of our future uploads, as well as shorts if you ever do them. I guess that's it, yeah. And the next video to be uploaded would be Fergie and I. So you guys will get to see his beautiful face again. You guys have a good day.